So good morning, everybody, and welcome to our first Content Lab meeting. And I hope that everyone has been able to have the opportunity to introduce each other on the call, or sorry, into the group. Within the group, you will see that there is a post from Wicked. I decided to use that because I saw the movie. I
I
absolutely loved
liked it.
it. And the hello sign. So if you haven't gone to that post to introduce yourselves to each other, then I ask if you can do that. Um, so this is our first call for Content Lab. Good morning, Natalie. This is our first call for Content Lab, and this is a call where we are going to just learn a little bit more about what's happening within the group. Just talk about some of the things that have been happening this week. For instance, I did record a tutorial, and this is your time to ask questions. And also, just to give some insight about other things that you can take a look at or work on during this month of December. Note, the month of December, it started 12 days ago. And one of the things that I did mention is that the tasks that we are going to be doing this month are going to be activities that are going to be, well, they're always going to be easy and doable and actionable, but it's going to be like the right type of tasks to do that it's going to really help to set you up for success in 2025. On the call right now, I do have Denise Hastings, and Denise is my social media coordinator. So if you can see her, she's waving right now. And it's Denise and my VA, Colleen, who, will be engaging, but I always invite everybody to engage within the group as well. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do a shared screen because I have already started to make some changes, some positive changes, and I just wanted to go to that screen. Okay, so does everyone see a screen right now that says Content Lab Updates?
Yep.
Right,
Yep.
awesome. Great. Now, one of the things that I shared in terms of having this group is that we're going to have hot seat coaching. And, I like to make things very fun. But then, I just kind of simmer down from all of the fact that I'm so hyped. And I thought that the way that I laid out how this hot seat coaching was going to be was that it might end up making it a little bit difficult for everybody to participate in this. So what I've decided to do is we do have our monthly call, which is this one, which is happening every second Tuesday. But I've also added another call, and this call optional. I've added an open office hours call. It's going to be the last Tuesday from 1 p.m. to 1:45. So I will be here, and anybody who wants to come on to the call, if we haven't answered a question in the month during the group, or if something has come up and you want to ask something more specific to your account, then I invite you to come on to the call. You could be here for the full 45 minutes, or you can be in and hear everyone else, or you could just be in and get your answer. But we will be having the monthly open office hours, and that will be the last Tuesday from 1 o'clock to 1:45. Also added is that we were going to be sharing just two newsletters to you. Now, the newsletters are going to be more about like what this group is experiencing and the challenges as well. But what is going to be happening is that it's going to be a weekly newsletter or a weekly email. And basically what's going to be in there, it's going to be what's new and also a recap. So in terms of that, that's just in case you've missed a post that was shared within the group. And now you'll get this in your inbox. It's going to be very short. It's just going to be a recap. And whenever there is a video that is done that is going to be for a tutorial, The video, it's going to be housed on YouTube, but I'm going to be linking it as a post. So the way that you're going to be able to go into the video to watch it, you will have to go into the group. And then speaking of like making sure that you don't miss anything, notifications. So I just thought I would take a screenshot here in terms of like notifications. So LinkedIn groups, it does work a little bit differently. And just so you don't miss anything, what you can do is when you go into the group, at the very top, you will be able to see a bell. So I think it's one or two bells that are together. And when you tap on that bell, then you're going to see this drop down. And the drop down will say that whether or not you want to get all of the notifications or most relevant. I ask that you don't turn it off. And anytime that you are on LinkedIn, it'll just show up within your notifications as well. So that way you don't miss anything. So does anybody have any questions about that?
No.
I have a question. I'm sorry, I ask a lot of questions. Will you be, I know you sent us the Zoom link and an invite for this first session today. Do you want us to add them into our own calendars, or will you send us calendar invites again? And is it the same Zoom link? So
Ooh.
if we put it in, do we just add the same Zoom link, or?
I can make it the same Zoom link. Thank you. So what I'll do as well is, well, I mean, what I was thinking of doing, Christina, is just like scheduling these all in advance, and
Perfect.
then they just show up. And you're not going to be getting it sporadically, like, oh no, it's the week of the second Thursday. I would like to just like have them all scheduled out. And if anything needs to be switched in terms of a date, I'd like to be able to give you ample notice for that.
That would be amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Leah, I think your hand was up.
Oh, okay, I'm not muted. Um, I just put in the chat that I found the link on LinkedIn for the Content Lab members, and now it says requested. So I just wait for you to approve it, and then
Yes, yes. So I sent you the invite, and then after the call, I will approve you and let you in.
and
Yeah.
then okay. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to do a stop share for a moment. And I thought that I would, like, we can take this opportunity. I'd love to know, and there's no wrong answer. I'd love to know, like, if you were able to watch the tutorial that came through this week, um, what questions did you have? And we're like, one of the challenges is to share like two pieces of content this week. And this month, the topic is about establishing your business in front of your LinkedIn networks. And I wanted to do that because often people are sharing content on LinkedIn, and the content is just amazing. Sometimes they could be quotes of the day. It could be a post that's about the day in the life, or it could be like a repost. But when I think about it, I'm following many people on LinkedIn, and I'm not really clear about what it is that they do. So that's why I wanted to ensure that when we are sharing some social media posts on LinkedIn, that video is about like how it is that you can do that. You can always have a call to action, but also how can you share this in non-salesy ways? Because I know that sometimes people have a difficult time sharing about their business. So does anyone have any questions at all? Yes, Jody.
To raise my hand.
I saw that. Yes. Very
Um,
good.
so first of all, thank you for creating this group. I think it's a great opportunity for us all to connect and explore a lot of the features on LinkedIn and how we can show up in our business. And so I watched the tutorial video, and I believe it was the one of you talking about storytelling. There's so many of your videos I watched, Dee, so I can't keep track of them all, but my question was around that actually. And so I know storytelling is a really huge part of what we should be incorporating in our posts. And so my question is around like how much should we be doing the storytelling? So for example, I do some content on sort of like educational pieces as well too. And so is there sort of a suggested amount in terms of how much we should share our stories, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, so storytelling is more in the lines of less of so you want high visibility, you want high visibility on LinkedIn? Well, we do it this way. First, we share 5 posts every single week. Next, we write content in advance and then we send it to you. So less of like what it is that you're going to get, because people, they really buy how it is that you're going to make them feel, as opposed to like listing out all of the different things. And when you are sharing like what it is that you're offering, it doesn't really offer the feeling. So in terms of storytelling, your content, it can be shared in a way that is like a story. So for instance, like I know that you do this where you might share your journey, or you might share a story of like working with a client, but of course it's you're not sharing that person's name. So you're introducing it like a story, and then you are implementing in there how it is that you've helped that person. So people want to hear the story, and then people want to hear how it is that you've taken care of that individual. Or if it's your story, they want to hear about how it is that you have overcome it. And then it could be something where you introduce, and this is why I am moved to do this kind of work. And now it's like a really great way of like, oh, well, Jody just shared all of this and she really shared why she's passionate. Yeah.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I think I do need to incorporate more of and this is why I do what I do, right? So I think that's definitely helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, as we're sharing these stories, don't be afraid to add a call to action. That call to action could be, so if you want to learn more, send me a DM. Like those are things that I have mentioned quite a bit on my own social media posts on LinkedIn, where I invite the conversations to come in. Or I might um, I might ask in terms of a call to action, have you experienced this? Yeah.
Add something or
Yes,
just
Denise.
piggyback off of what you're saying. So yeah, 100% what Dee said. It's really about if you get a chance to use anecdotes, because anecdotes are relatable and more interesting than, just some dry, like, tutorial or explanation, right? People like to see these things in the real world and how they played out. So they just become a little bit, just easier and more interesting to digest. So
More
that's all.
real. Yeah. Yeah. And Carla, you raised your hand.
Thank you so much for this group. What Jody said, I totally agree with, is so needed, and I'm excited to learn from you. So thank you. Um, in the posts this week, I noticed a chart that was like some of the things we can do. And on the like far right side, it was like the thing about comment, like don't post in the comments, post, don't act, like don't that piece. So in terms of the call to action, so I ask a lot of questions in my post to get engagement, or to create engagement and to invite engagement. Let me say it that way. And so is it just the wording of share in the comments, or because you're suggesting like DM me or share a thing, but that's okay if it goes in the comments, but you're not telling people to write. Is that kind of the gist?
Yeah, correct. And actually, I do have that screen open. So thank you for bringing that up. I
Okay.
am going to, let me see if I can find that. Just give me a moment. people who are, we're going to go right into the group now. So you might hear some beeping going on as people are sending me messages. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So I believe that this is what you're speaking about, Carla. Yes, so this kind of piggybacks onto the video that I shared. And in the last column, we see these call to actions. And I'm sorry it's a little bit small, but you'll be able to open it up online. So comment below and let's share ideas or share your thoughts in the comments. And I put those all in red because a lot of these platforms like LinkedIn and all the other platforms, when they see like share in the comments. They're it's like they're the algorithm, it's looking for those words and then it kind of penalizes your post.
Oh.
So that's why I just wanted to point that out. How is like what are different ways that you can invite people to reach out? One of the things that I have been doing recently, Carla, is that I've even been putting the emoji, like a talking emoji, the talking head emoji, or I've been putting in the comment bubbles because I'm playing around with that. And so far, like it hasn't affected my engagement. So I'm just like, okay, everyone can see that that indicates to share something in the comments as an example. But yes, it could be, share below. Let me know your thoughts. Tell me what were your recent wins.
Thank you. That's such a, like, it's so amazing how each platform is so different and how, like, just knowing that, because I always ask people to share ideas. I'm going to go back and take out comments all the way through all my posts. But I think it's so interesting how, like, that little nugget can change everything. So thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. And then another thing is that, just a side note, so what's really nice on LinkedIn is that you can even share like thought leadership posts. And in ways, you can also share these posts in ways where you can share an article. So there was a recent study that was released by such and such, and it stated that 48% of these types of individuals experience this. And then you give your input, so you give your thought leadership on that. And yes, like you can share that link and it's going to open up. But one of the things that I like to do to get around that as of recently is that if there's an image within that article, then what I do is I download that image and then I upload it so it becomes like part of the media. And then what I do is in the first comments, I put the link to that article. And then I share, you can check out more or you can learn more. I've shared the link in well, I don't say comments, but I share the link in the bubbles or I've shared the link below. Yeah, that's something I've been playing around with recently. But that's a great way where it shows that you're not just speaking about what it is that you do. And also, people say, oh, so Carla, she is really interested in this type of topic and she, finds articles and she educates us about that. Mm-hmm. So I'll just go through a few of these, but the wording is very small. So here are some pillars. So in terms of establishing your business to your network. So when I speak about your network on LinkedIn, those are the people who are actually, they are part of your network. They are actually connected to you. And then you've got your followers. So people who are following you, maybe they've turned on the notification bell onto your on your profile. Whenever you're sharing anything like this could end up coming in front of them in terms of what's on their feed. So one of the pillar here is like we've got behind the scenes, and then a content idea would be share a day in the life, a story of managing your business. So one of these, like say for myself, behind the scenes, a while back, I shared that I was at a networking event and it was a picture as in a summer dress. And for that, it's like a fun way of sharing behind the scenes. And then I shared advice about how it is that you should connect with others after you've left a networking event. So I tied it all into storytelling. Yeah. And then like here I have some media suggestions. So you can post a photo. Maybe you're in your workspace. And I was speaking, like I was on a podcast the other day, and somebody was asking, how can I share something about behind the scenes? And I said to the individual that what I could have done, which I didn't, was like I could share that I was waiting to get onto this Zoom call where the podcast was being recorded. And then I could have just done a selfie and say, really excited to be on this person's podcast. The topic is going to be on such and such. Engagement. So here are your engagement tips, like in this one row. Ask, like, what does your typical workday look like? And then, but your call to action, instead of saying comment below, you can even just leave it at, what does your typical workday look like? Yeah. In terms of, I'm going to jump down to challenges, like overcoming challenges. That's the third one down. Telling a story of difficulty that you experienced in business and the decision of like how you handled it. So I think back to, it was like months ago, I finally shared a post that I was part of a book. Like I co-authored a book, and I co-authored this book in 2018, and I didn't make any social media posts. And I wanted to share that story to let my audience know that I experience some of the challenges that they go through, where sometimes I found that it was difficult to show up. And I shared how I overcame this challenge. And actually, I overcame the challenge by sharing that I was part of this book, but I shared it like 6 years later, for instance. And then, so one of the questions, one of the media suggestions, like posting an image, or it could be something where you're brainstorming, and then you can share a picture. You could ask, have you ever gone through this yourself? Or in terms of like overcoming a challenge, you could share a poll on LinkedIn where 30% of women do not receive this when it comes to their business, and they are underfunded. Have you ever received, if you are a woman in business, have you received, what kind of difficulty did you have in terms of receiving funding? And then LinkedIn has a poll, and you could run the poll for 3 days, you could run the poll for 5 days or 7 days, I believe. And then that way you're getting people to engage on the poll as well. And it's a great way to learn more about your community as well, so you can know what to write about. Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions about this?
Dee, can I just ask to go back? You said there's your followers, sort of the difference in your network, like followers and.
Yes. So there are the people that you are on LinkedIn. If you look at your profile, it is going to show you how many followers that you have. Your followers, or how many followers someone else has. Your followers are a blend of individuals that you are actually connected with. So perhaps you sent them a connection request, or you sent them a connection request, or they sent you a connection request and you accepted, and vice versa. Or somebody has sent you a connection request, and then you take a look at their profile, as I do sometimes, and then I say, yeah, I don't think so. So then I decline the connection request, but they remain a follower until they realize, like most likely they're going to realize I didn't accept it. But a lot of people, they don't remove the fact that they are following, because as soon as you send that connection request to somebody, you're now following them. Or you might just be following, you might like somebody's content on LinkedIn and you don't want to send them a connection request. So you just hit the follow button and now you're following them. So that's what that number is there for.
May
Yeah,
I?
I wondered why sometimes you go on, sometimes you go on to a profile and it won't say, like, it won't give you the option to send them a connection request, but it'll give you the option to follow them.
Yes, so actually the option is there to send them a connection request, but the way that they have it set up just makes it a little bit harder. So if you're looking at your mobile phone, what I can do is I can share a screenshot in the group, but I believe that there are like, it's a circle with some dots or a little button there. And if you click on that, there's a drop down, and then the drop down, you will see the connection button in there. Yeah. Christina.
So I have my own personal page, I guess, a profile, and then I have a company page. But I have a lot more connections and followers on my personal one rather than on my company one. So if I post something, should I post it on both? Or like I'm always confused which one, where to go.
Yeah, no worries. On your company page, I would say that what you should share there is more like company specific. Um, on your profile, where like all of the magic happens and people are doing business with those that they know, like, and trust, you can share that journey, the
Okay.
something that you've done. Perhaps you were at an event and you were speaking. So, yeah, that's something really great to share on your profile. And then on your company page, you can also share that where you spoke for this organization or for this group, and then that goes on your company page as well.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I shared a post where I was so on LinkedIn, by all means, like there are people behind the businesses. So we can share our journeys. And one time I shared a post that I went for a walk and I saw a lone flower in the middle of fall amongst these leaves. And what I did was I made that story into, sometimes as entrepreneurs, we feel like we're very much alone. And I shared a couple of pictures of that, but that's not something I would share on my company page. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna go back.
I just have a question, Dee. So I guess aren't the pages on LinkedIn a company page in I see it as the same thing, sort of, I guess. Because my LinkedIn profile, it's me, but it's me about my business. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
people would have two separate profiles, I guess.
So your LinkedIn company page, so think about it as Facebook. So on Facebook, you have your Facebook profile, and then you have a company page on Facebook. So that's pretty much what it's like. So
That I don't get either.
yeah, pardon me?
I don't, Facebook, honestly, I don't really get either. Like Instagram's pretty clear it's your business. And I just sort of thought of LinkedIn as the same thing. Like, even though it's me representing my business. Like, I don't see it as separate. I don't know. I just didn't realize people had a personal page and a business page. Like, I thought LinkedIn was all about business.
Well, LinkedIn is a professional platform, and it's as though you're going to a networking event and you
Yes.
are sharing about you in that professional manner. And then you've got your company page. So what I'll do, Leah, is, we have a client and they are in California. I'm going to share the profile of that individual, and then I'm also going to show her company page as well. And then you'll be able to understand what the difference is. Carla?
So I'm just going to piggyback off Leah. I also didn't know that people had, I understand some places that would have like, so for example, a person who's like I have a friend who's a fractional marketing agent and then also has a women's group. So I understand having two pages there. In my case, like my company and me are the same thing. So it would feel very much like just what's the right word?
Like
Duplicate.
redundant?
Duplication, exactly. And so does that make sense not to have it sometimes? Just to like piggyback on what Leah's asking.
Yeah, like there's quite a few people who they don't have a company page.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's like maybe they're the only one in their business.
Right.
Or maybe a company page is great because you might want to you might want to get in front of others, and you want to make your company, there's that saying, like, make things bigger than just who you are, so that people, those larger companies, are having that more of a trust in you and want to invest their time with you, and then you can have a company page.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I thought you also had to have a company page if you wanted to do any ads or anything.
Yes, if you want to do any ads on LinkedIn, you have to have a company page. I'm going to double check this because I have heard that you can run ads, but I'm not too sure about that off of your personal. I'm just going to, I will check the chat in a little bit. I'm just going to go into understanding your analytics. So your analytics, this is off of your profile. And these are things that I would love for you to take a look at between like now and in January. So we're talking about establishing your brand or establishing your business in front of your network on LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, they have analytics. On Instagram, they call it insights. And it's not as detailed as what it is that you would find on the other platforms, but I'm going to keep it very simple. So I'm going to explain like these analytics that would be in your profile. You would go to your profile, you can go and see your analytics. And this one here that I've taken a screenshot of, this is for content performance. So your impressions are the amount of people who have seen your post on LinkedIn. And also your impressions on LinkedIn, it's not just the amount of people who have seen your post, it's also the amount of time that individuals have spent on your post. So one of the things that you can do on that you might want to look at doing on LinkedIn is making your content like a little bit longer. Or you can do things where you include a hook. I like to put a hook in the post for my clients, or I want to lead with a hook in terms of my post. So what I do in the first 2 to 3 lines in a social media post on LinkedIn, I share the hook, and that's like that attention grabbing sentence. So the other day, my post said, this is the one thing that I really hated at my 9 to 5. And so now that was like the first 3 words. And hopefully people are like, what? What is that? And on LinkedIn, you see a little see more button. And then it's, people click on that. And then it opens up and you see what it is that I wrote. Now, you don't have to write something that long, but what it is that you want to do is you want to invite people to like see more and stay onto your post more. And the reason why LinkedIn did this is that I don't know if you've ever heard of pods on social media where groups are formed. They're formed in WhatsApp, just putting that out there, or they could be formed in a group on Instagram or a group within LinkedIn. And within these pods, it's about maybe 15 people in the pod. And what you're supposed to do on a daily basis is that you share your post within that pod. And then everybody within the pod, they click through to that link, and now they are engaging with your content. So it's something to like beat the algorithm. They don't really work, by the way. They don't really work because usually those who are in those pods, they're not your ideal clients anyway. And then they're not connected with your ideal clients. And sometimes what happens is that other platforms, they have been closing down the accounts of those individuals who have been in the pods. So LinkedIn understands that this has been happening, and they are seeing that when people are going through to a link and they're leaving those comments, that is making things a little bit unfair in terms of who is seeing your content. So what they've introduced something called dwell time. And dwell time is the amount of time that somebody spends on your post. So this is why you want to start leading with a hook. So I think for Leah, a really great example would be, because Leah does these fantastic NFC tags where you can tap it onto a phone, and then your LinkedIn profile opens up, and then you can connect. And for Leah, I think it would be really great for her in a post where it could start off with, this is what I see that's really wrong whenever I go to a networking event. So that would be in the first 3 lines. And then it opens up to, we do all of this fantastic connecting, we have great conversations, and then nothing happens. But what if there was a way that we could all connect with each other before we leave? And then she can just share like, and this is why I created this product, or it could just be that thought leadership type of content. So that's what happens with the impressions. And then in terms of your analytics, so I'd love for you to take a look at your content performance, take a look at your impressions, and then your engagement. The engagement would be anything where people are actually leaving the reactions or they're leaving comments. That's what the engagements would be. And what is that magic number? I don't want you to stress over the holidays, whether you celebrate the holidays. I mean, things are going to be closed, so you have more time on your own. I want you to enjoy that time. The goal is to keep it in the green. So if it goes into the green, you know that there has been improvements. Yeah. Yes, Leah.
Sorry to ask so many questions. I'm curious about the way you, and I thank you for the example. I love it. My question is negative versus positive way to start? Like, it just depends on the post, but like, instead of, my first thought is, you said, this is what's missing at a networking event versus, oh, I know how to make your networking event even better. You know what I mean? Like positive versus a negative.
Well, a great hook is for people to say, what is it? Or it kind of draws them in. And I like to lead with maybe a little less eyes, because then people are going to be like, oh, she's speaking about herself. But how do you hook it so that it just draws everyone in? Yeah. So I'm going to go into the chat and open it up for questions. And but for this month, the video, it's about 20 minutes. You could listen to it, you could watch it. There are some examples. You could listen to it, you can do some work, you can clean, you could take a look and say, okay, those are the examples. So this month, I would love if you could, take a look at the latest walkthrough about how to establish your business to your network. And then in that tutorial, it said to share 2 posts this week, but I'm looking at the month. So I would love if between, for this month, you can share 4 to 6 posts using any of the examples within the videos. And I shared different types of videos. Like for instance, there was a woman there who she has a brand called Stush Patties, and she established to her network why her patties are the ones to have and why they're the ones to eat. And she, for instance, she shared that her line of patties are the first line of patties to be carried at Whole Foods. And she also shared because Whole Foods has these very high standards. So right away, you're like, wow, if she made it into Whole Foods because of their high standards, then I'm going to want to have some of these patties. So they're very easy ways. And some of these examples, they share images or they share videos as well. And then also to review your LinkedIn analytics. And the goal is to make sure that keeping it nice and easy, you want to ensure that it is green. And then I think there's one more. Oh, one more thing, and this might go a little bit longer, so I hope you don't mind. I would love like to see if you could challenge yourself to send connection requests. And I wanted to tell you my formula. So here's another screenshot of analytics where we want to see that it is green. Now, the thing is that it goes green because you've received more followers. Maybe you receive more followers because people are loving your content, or you receive more followers because somebody sent a connection request and then you declined. But I want this number to also include your actions. And I call it the 3 C's. When you're sending a connection request, who are your future clients? Who are your current target clients? So not the name, but who fits this client avatar? Who is what kind of individual would be a potential collaborator? So, for instance, I work with entrepreneurs, I work with organizations, but one of the things that I started to do was sending out connection requests to those who are career coaches because their clients may need help with LinkedIn profiles, for instance. Or for some of our clients, we are looking for potential collaborators who have specific types of podcasts because maybe that's an opportunity to get on a stage and expand their reach. And then your cheerleaders. So I like to call them the cheerleaders. If you've been to a networking event recently, before you leave the room or within the next 24 hours, send connection requests to those that you've had really great conversations with or anybody who was in that room. Another thing that you can do is that if you are on Zoom and you are on a networking event on Zoom, if people have said things that you're like, wow, that person, I feel like we have a really great connection or synergy. I'd love to learn more about that person. Then send some individual connection requests on LinkedIn. I did that a couple of years ago, and then we had an in-person event up in Markham Stouffville, and one of those individuals that I sent a connection request to, she accepted, and it's so funny how I'm going to say this. She accepted, and then she said, Dee, I'd love to connect. Let's have a coffee online. And I remember I was like, oh no, a coffee online. And then I accepted, and we learned more about each other's business. And this event was up in Markham Stouffville, and she told a couple of friends, and one of those friends who live out towards Niagara, they bought a ticket and they came to the event. So you just never know.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. And then here is a tip. Now, this tip will really come in handy if you do not have the paid LinkedIn. And I'm going to say right away, you do not need to have the paid LinkedIn until you've really exhausted the free account. So whenever you are sending a connection request to somebody on LinkedIn, take a look at their activity. You can see their activity in their profile. And if you see something where it says this person has not shared a post yet, then do not send out a connection request because you're going to send out a request and they're not paying attention as to whether or not they've received the notice. And if you have the free account for LinkedIn, LinkedIn will cap you. So I believe that they cap you at 25 to 30 connection requests. So you don't want to lose out. You might see that the activity is in the last 3 months. I would say you can skip over that individual as well. But if you see activity in the last month, but I love to see things like more in the last 3 weeks. The activity that you will see is that they've shared a post, or it will show for activity that they do things like repost, or they make comments on other individuals' accounts. And yeah, so I'm going to stop, but I want to say, how to stay active within the group, ask questions and ask for feedback. Share your posts so that we can uplift you in the group. And also, do the latest challenges. And again, I have it here again to ask questions. Yeah. So I'm still going to stop the share. And I'm going to go to the chat. Oh, thank you, Zuni, for sharing. Yes, okay, great. I see that, we are sharing our LinkedIn. Leah, yes. So I will let you into the group. So Leah said that I didn't find the link to the video. The link to the video is within the group. So I will always share it within the group. And I find it hard to find what I need with the notifications. So with the notifications, like I did, I shared where it is that you could find the bell, but I will also share a screenshot. And I also want to say with the notifications, if you find somebody who falls under the 3 C's, or let's call it the top 2 C's, somebody who could be a potential collaborator or a target audience, what you can do is you can go to their LinkedIn profile and tap on the notifications bell. And then that way, whenever they are engaging, then their content is going to show up. And then you can make more of an impact if you are engaging in their content as well.
So can you untap notifications? Because there's
Yes.
just so many. It's like I can't.
Yeah, you can untap notifications. So, yes, there are notifications, but there are individuals that you want to make sure that their notifications come up so you don't miss it, and that's why you would do it. So after a while, you're free to turn those off. And Leah, you are not asking about the most basic things. I'm making my way down.
Yeah.
Um,
Question D, just clarification on that notification. So when you first go in and you click that notification and there's like all these things and they're like a different color because you've never looked at them. So those are only if you've put I want to be notified about that person, or like how does LinkedIn know what to put in your notification list?
Yeah, so your notifications will be a blend of the individuals that you are connected to, and most likely the most recent ones that you've connected with, or the ones that you find their content pretty interesting and it shows up. Because I'm connected to like over 2,000 and I don't get those notifications. Now, the reason why I want to put that bell on, so not only am I going to be seeing those individuals who I tend to engage with a lot more, but I also want to make sure that I don't miss those individuals that I might want to have a conversation with later. So for instance, it's like, ooh, that person could be my target audience, my ideal client. Great. That person just accepted my request. Yes, I'm in. And then what I do is I tap the bell, and now whenever their posts come up, I can see their posts, and then, hopefully I'll be remembered because I'm engaging in their content. And what I want to say in terms of like when somebody does accept your connection request, keep it simple. Because I was at an event the other day and everyone's like, what do we do? Do we just automatically get them on a call? Do I automatically give them a download? And I'm like, no, don't do that. So I like to think like, what would I do in real life? If somebody were to open a door for me and let me in, I would say thank you. Or I might say, um, like, I think somebody opened the door for me and they're wearing a nice coat. I don't know them. And I'm like, thank you. Great scarf, right? And I just walk into the door. So when somebody accepts your connection request, something easy that you can say is, hi, Paige, thanks so much for accepting my request to connect. Full stop. Or, hi, Paige, and because maybe you really like that person's content. Hi, Paige, you know what? I was really moved by what you shared. And I just thought that, I would love to connect. And that's it. So just keeping it nice and simple, because yes, there are people on who are doing it a little bit wrong. They sent me a connection and right away they told me why it is I need them. And I just automatically did that this morning right away and I just X'd it off. So just keeping it nice and simple. And then when you do that kind of interaction right away, your content does show up in front of that person a little bit more for the next like week or two. And yeah, and then it's just even easier if you want to get on a call with them at a later date because you introduced yourself and you said thank you. Yeah.
May I
Yeah.
ask two questions just as a follow-up from what you were just talking about? So usually when I connect with somebody that I think would make a good participant or a good mentor in my programs, I will actually say that right in my request of why I want to connect with them, because there's nothing that drives me crazier as you said, when somebody connects with me and then they sell me, like somebody will say, oh, I love that, what you're doing, and I'm really interested in that. And then the next thing I know is here, they're selling me, right? So I always say that right in my message. But what if somebody likes your post and they're not connected to you? And they could be a potential, like let's say I do I post about a leadership program that's coming up, and they like the post, and I can see, oh, they would actually be a good candidate. Is it okay to connect with them after?
Absolutely. And so you could send that connection request. And if you wanted to send a message with that connection request, or if you wanted to send a message after they've accepted, you could say, hey, thanks so much. Thanks so much for Denise. Thanks so much, Denise, for accepting. I saw that you liked you could say, I saw that you liked my post, or, and I took a look at yours, or just make something nice and short, but it's definitely totally fine to do that. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so that is it. We're at our time now, and how to navigate the three dots beside the notification. So if anyone wants to stay on a little bit longer, I can answer that question. Everyone else, thank you so much for being here and staying on, and I will promise to put those screenshots into the group and also keeping you moving between now and January 2025. So Leah, can you expand on the three dots?
I can. In what this in what I'm saying or what they say.
You talked about the three dots.
Yeah. So when you look at, I'm just wondering, like in general screenshots, like, okay, this is what you might see. This is how to get it to your notifications to move towards your ideal notifications, right? The people you want to hear from or follow what they're saying versus all sorts of notifications. But when you go to notifications, there's three dots and it says change notification preferences, delete notifications, show less like this. Like just sort of screenshots of like, this is what you see, this is what you can do. Okay, so you click on the, do you want to change your notification preferences? And then it says allow notifications about this person, this post. Okay, so that's
Yeah,
actually
I
not
think
what
it's
I was.
pretty self-explanatory, like what to do, like once you open it up. Like I tapped on somebody and I can allow or not allow, and then that's that. So that one's,
There was actually something
yeah.
else, sorry, that was removed newsletters. Maybe it was a different one. Maybe I was getting maybe a notification from someone versus their newsletter, I guess. Maybe one was
Yeah.
a newsletter.
So, well, I mean, in terms of like, you know, we are focusing on content, but if you want to have that specific question about notifications, you can put it in the group and then
Sure.
I'll be able to answer that.
Sure.
Let me see. Analytics is so interesting. And ha ha ha, I don't look at analytics. That's okay. Now you will, FIFA. Yeah. So if there are not any more questions, I'm going to end the call here and I will upload the replay as well. And yeah, so we know what the challenges are. Therefore, I'm there to answer any questions as well. And thank you so much for coming to our first call.
Thank you so much, Dee. This was really great.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was
Thank
very
you.
Thank you.